You're about to hear something that most of the financial advice industry is not prepared to discuss honestly. The operating environment for financial advisors has fundamentally changed. Artificial intelligence is accelerating the speed of execution. Information is becoming infinite. Communication is becoming templated. And generic expertise is becoming economically interchangeable. But despite all that, most advisors are still being trained using educational systems designed for a completely different era. That is a massive problem because the future advisor advantage is no longer simply intelligence, it's governed authority. And that's what this video is about. For decades, advisors built value primarily through information, technical expertise, communication, and access. But AI is compressing all of those things rapidly. Information is becoming infinite, communication is becoming templated, and generic expertise is becoming interchangeable at the exact same time. Advisors are operating inside increasing volatility, emotional consequence, AI speed, and cognitive overload. So the advisors who survive in the future will not simply be the most informed, they'll be the most behaviorally stable. That distinction changes everything. This is one of the most important insights in the entire advisor crunch doctrine. Most advisors already know what they should do. They know how they should communicate. They know how they should lead clients. They know how they should structure their business. They know how they should maintain standards. But under pressure, hesitation appears, emotional accommodation appears, reactive drift appears, standards soften, and authority leaks. Why? Because pressure exposes behavioral instability faster than information creates stability. Knowledge alone does not hold the line. That means the problem is no longer information. The problem is governance. Traditional professional education largely follows Bloom's taxonomy, and Bloom's asks a very specific question. Can the learner think upward? That system optimizes cognitive progression, and inside classrooms it works well. But financial advisors are not operating inside classrooms. They operate inside uncertainty, consequence, emotional pressure, volatility, AI compression, which means the real question becomes, can the advisor stand upright under pressure? That is a completely different architecture, and that is why advisor crunch exists. Traditional education progresses through information, understanding, application, analysis, evaluation, and creation. But there's a problem. Most intellectual accumulation stops at the pressure threshold. Behavior destabilizes before knowledge operationalizes. So advisor crunch restructures the hierarchy entirely. We move from awareness to clarity, to behavioral action, to self-diagnosis, to decision ownership, to tangible alpha. This is no longer merely education. This is behavioral governance. The goal is not simply learning more. The goal is operational continuity under pressure. This is where the architecture becomes operational. Most advisors can analyze markets. Very few can accurately observe their own hesitation, avoidance, reassurance seeking, or authority softening. That's why the mirror exists, because behavior cannot be governed if it cannot first be recognized. And then we move into consequence tolerance, because authority is not measured when conditions are easy. Authority is measured when uncertainty attempts to destabilize behavior. That's where most advisors lose operational control. Advisor crunch was specifically designed to reinforce behavioral continuity under those conditions. This is one of the biggest distinctions between advisor crunch and traditional education systems. Most educational systems are terminal: learn, apply, finish. But modern advisory environments never stabilize permanently. Pressure returns, AI evolves, markets shift, behavior drifts, which means governance must become recursive, not one time, ongoing. That's why Advisor Crunch operates through alpha installs, alpha cards, journals, proof accumulation, and recursive reinforcement loops. The system itself becomes a stabilization environment, not merely a learning platform. As execution becomes infinite, advisor value migrates upward. The future advisor advantage becomes governed judgment, visible standards, behavioral continuity, decision ownership, and leadership stability. This is tangible alpha. And tangible alpha is not branding. It is observable proof. Proof of stewardship, governance, continuity, judgment, and authority. Because in modern advisory businesses, if value cannot be demonstrated visibly, it becomes economically compressible. Authority is no longer enough to claim. Authority must become behaviorally observable. This is where all of this leads. AI drives information and execution toward infinite abundance, which means their economic value trends toward zero. At the exact same time, governed authority becomes increasingly scarce, and scarcity is where durable value migrates. This is where Advisor Crunch is not another coaching program. It is not another productivity system. It is not another AI tool library. It is a bottom-up behavioral governance architecture designed to help advisors preserve authority under AI compression. Because the advisors who recognize this shift early and adapt behaviorally before everyone else will likely compound advantages that become increasingly difficult to replicate later. And that is exactly what Advisor Crunch was built to do.